Oh man, struggle streaming already.
That's how it goes.
Let's see. Am I live? Are we live and in action? Okay, let's see. Am I live and am I on time? What's good, everybody? This is Ryan Johnson with MoneyBass.com. All right, guys, we're going to get into it tonight. Oh my God, we have a good one lined up. Can you guys hear me okay? And can you see me okay? I want to make sure we're already live and in action and ready to roll. You guys know the routine. As you come into the chat, please drop a 1. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me all right. Let's see. Uh-oh. Shout out to Big Ivy Fishing. He says, nope, you late, buddy. You're late. You didn't make it. I didn't make it. You guys saw I had some technical difficulties. As always, flying in here at the last minute trying to get things rolling. But did you guys see that thumbnail? Have you heard about all the stuff that's going on out here these days? Going to bring Milliken up. We're going to get straight into it. We're going to go over, of course, we have some controversy going out here in these YouTube streets. YouTube is a little different. It's its own other kind of world. We're going to get into these anglers. These anglers like, hey, where's the money at? Where's my money at? We're going to talk about that a little bit. Going to get into the fishing side. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and just get straight into it. How about it? Let's go ahead and bring him up. Who do we have? Here, guys? What is going on? We have Mr. Ben Milikin. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, dude? Let's get into this.
Oh yeah. Let's get rolling. Let me do this real quick. Let me just hop in the chat real quick just to see who we have checking in. So I always have to give a big shout out to the money team. What's going on? We got Joseph checking in. Let's see who else we have checking in real quick. Let's see. Let's take a look. Let's take a quick look. Big Jim Fishing. Oh yeah. Make sure you guys check out Big Jim Fishing. He's another, out here doing his thing in these YouTube streets. But I think I might have to stop the show. Wait a minute. Hold on just a second. I see a little something that has kind of caught my attention. Where is it at? We have Edward Ragsdale Fishing. Edward Ragsdale Fishing has hit the channel with the $9.99 super chat. Now, we over here on the Money Bass Network, guys, we are very interactive. So I really appreciate Ben Milikin stepping in. He's going to see how we do things over here. So we're very interactive. I bring up my guys that are supporters of the channel, and we are not supported by any sponsors or anything like that. Pretty much the guys that support the channel are the viewers, the subscribers, and people that just kind of step through every once in a while and want to see what's going on here. What are these guys talking about? Why are so many people over there, hopping in and having all this fun over here on the Money Bass channel? All right, so want to give a big shout out to Edward Ragsdale Fishing. And if you take a look, that banner down at the bottom of the screen, that is the sponsor of last week's. Well, actually, this was from yesterday's live stream. Shout out to Bamberby, a new subscriber to the channel. Really, really appreciate it. So I have to get in here and do a little work real quick. Let me get in here and change this up. So special thank you so much to. Let's get in here and do this real quick. So this is a live show, so I have to do a little work sometimes, but Edward Ragsdale Fishing. All right, so make sure you guys go and check out his channel. He's over here trying to get his thing going on YouTube, so really, really appreciate that. So if you take a look at the bottom of the screen, you see special thank you so much to the sponsor of this stream, Edward Ragsdale Fishing. He's starting his thing over here on YouTube, so make sure you guys go and check him out. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into it. All right, let's get straight into it. I think that's enough of the comments right now. All right, so how have you been doing?
Man, I've been busy, just this is my first official off season, I guess, of the tournament bass fishing career. So been a little bit all over the place with family stuff and trying to oh man, look at Joe Winkler dropping 25 bones. Look at that iBass tournament series. Heck yeah. Love it.
Look, let me go ahead and shout him out. What is going on? Big shout out to Joe Winkler, member of the money team and a very, very big supporter of the channel with the iBass tournament series. He says, was safe today on your challenge. So here you go, Money Bass. Oh, man, let me just tell you real quick what happened to me. So, basically, if you have live imaging and you see the fish, you're going to catch them, right?
100% chance. I caught one today. I was out on the water,
Okay.
and I was scoping around. I was panning around, and all of a sudden my trolling motor wouldn't move. And I was like, what's the deal here? I pulled the trolling motor up. A 10-pounder dam ate the transducer, and I just pulled him up and I put him in the live well. I was like, I'm weighing that one in. Deal.
You didn't even have a hook on the transducer?
No. It just bit the transducer. That's all you got to do. It's crazy technology.
But see, this is the problem. It didn't work out quite that way for me today. I mean, you heard them. The fish were out there laughing at me. They would come and look at my bait, and they'd be like, "Nah, partner, we're getting out of here." So it was one of those days for me. So and at least I wasn't alone. I had a bunch of people out there in the live chat, and they were saying, "Hey, man, I didn't get any bites, didn't get anything." And I was like, "Well, really, I wasn't out there to catch fish. I just wanted to go out there to test out my equipment, test out my boat. You got to make sure that your line doesn't break on the cast and stuff like that. So I was just kind of testing out the equipment today.
I hear you, man.
All right, so big shout out to Joe Winkler. Really, really appreciate that. And actually, that means I have to get it. Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
Okay. let me slow down a little bit, guys.
God dang, let's do it. I need to do more of these live streams. What the heck?
Listen, we need to link up.
Fish the Elite Series.
Listen, I'm telling you, we need to link up. I have some other little ideas that's going on, some big ideas. We have some plans out here in these YouTube streets. I mean, the YouTube, so you see the YouTube side of things, and you kind of leached over there into the real world. We're out here in the what do they call it? The goodness, what's the new thing called with the goggles and stuff that I can't remember.
The cyberverse.
Yeah, there we go. The cyberverse, something that like
works.
that.
So
yeah, there we go.
It's not a real place,
right? So that's where we're at over here. But we're making things happen. All right, let me hop back over here and drop this down. But before we get started, I do want to send out well wishes to your family, because I know you did say that someone had some surgery recently, and I mean everything turned out well. Everything's going well. So definitely want to. So everything's going good.
Yes, sir. Everything's good with the father-in-law. I mean, it's good as it can be. He's home now. We had a little double lung transplant surgery,
right.
So crazy that's even possible to do.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, he'll never be the same as he was when he was healthy, but he wouldn't be alive right now without it. So,
oh right,
yeah, man, it's a blessing for sure.
All right, good deal with that. So definitely sending well wishes out to the fam. All right, let's see. What should we get into first tonight? What should we get into?
Whatever you want to do. Like I told you, like when you hit me up, I didn't know what you want to talk about. I know I've seen your videos, the last couple videos about some of the crazy shit we've been getting into with this. I'm like, oh yeah, the off season. It's trying to figure out sponsor stuff, whatever. But really, I mean, it wasn't even. You're not really exaggerating or clickbaiting or anything when you said I dropped some nukes on the industry, I guess, because
exactly.
I feel like I said some things that haven't been said, and I've talked about some issues, and I guess debated would be a very loose term to say about some issues that are in the industry that have been very clickable topics that I didn't necessarily agree are super clickable topics or agree with the motives behind the individuals that brought them up in the first place. So.
Gotcha. And so some of that I said you're saying that it hasn't really been mentioned before, but there's a video that you made when you were giving a building in the background, the middle finger, saying, "I'm out of here." So I remember when you made that video, and I was like, man, dude just quit his job. Oh my goodness, he's going for it. He's gonna do it. And you were sitting in there, you poured a little something in your cup, and you were like, hey guys, let's go ahead and talk about it. And so on the video you made right after that one, I remember you were talking about the fishing industry and how you didn't really see how you can make money. I think you were saying on the tournament side of things, but you were kind of building your path on the YouTube side of things. And when I went back and watched that video again a few days ago, and I was like, I wonder what he was thinking if you kind of had that plan of starting off on the YouTube side of things and kind of building that up, getting that following together, and then kind of branching off into the tournament side. Did you think of it that way, or were you more just, with the YouTube thing, you saw a path to where you can follow your passion and make a living at it? and just kind of built from there.
I got some goosebumps, man, on my arm here. You freaking talking about that. That's like you did your research. I appreciate that a lot, man. Those are some videos that I need to kind of, I go back and watch. I like to go back and watch some of the older videos to kind of just get some perspective and just gain some gratitude on where we're at now, because it's crazy to see how far we've come. Just a dude, a young married dude in Nebraska, trying to figure out life with this 8 to 5 job with my college degree, and freaking a terrible, just to be completely transparent, just a really shitty place in the country to live if you want to pursue a job in the fishing industry or a full-time tournament fishing job. And so, yeah, so it's kind of funny to think like 5-6 years ago, I was having the same thoughts that people are still confused about these days, about how you can't just go fish tournaments and rely on getting checks in tournaments to make a living.
And see, you're saying I did my research. I saw that video whenever you first put it out, but I just recently, because when I thought about it, I was like, man, let me go back and watch, that because you mentioned it on another podcast, but when you mentioned kind of that outline of how to make it in the fishing industry, you said that back then before you even started on that path. When you were getting started, I think you had like 150,000 subscribers or something like that around that time frame. And you mentioned the same thing that is being said right now. So you were saying it way back then.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. You gotta be confused about some things if you think that you can just go out and fish and live off the checks from fishing. Maybe it's bad advice. Maybe it's just I don't even know. But
marketing.
It is marketing, man. Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to catch fish if you're just talking about the tournament side of things. Like if you're fishing at the highest level, you have to be able to catch fish phenomenally, but you also, like, it's 50-50. You have to be able to do the fish catching, but you also have to understand the marketing side of it,
right?
And yeah, I mean, I straight up, I try to preach to everyone that everyone's path is different. Everyone's route to where they want to be is different, and so I don't ever think there's a linear way to get from I'm Joe 8 to 5 worker or whatever you do with your life, and I want to fish professionally 100% for a living. Right. There's not like then you need to fish locally and fish tournaments. You need to qualify for a regional tournament, then you qualify for a national tournament, then you qualify for the Elite Series, and then you're a professional fisherman. Like that's not the way it works anymore, or really ever. And so I kind of took my own route, which was, I'm not going to say the right or wrong route for anyone. It's like it's a different route than anyone's really ever taken, which is kind of interesting and unique and cool. But yeah, man, I from the start, it was a long way up. And honestly, I didn't even have aspirations of fishing the Opens until a couple months before registration last year. And I was like, well, I've wanted to do this forever. I'm kind of burned out on what I'm doing right now. This seems like the right time. I don't want to go another year without hopping in. Right. Let's freaking do it.
Right.
Here we are.
That decision that you made, so what I did, this is the first year I really fished the BFL. So I fished at the BFL level. I was like, nah, I'm not going, into that big dog status. Let me just kind of dip my foot in the BFL. And it was kind of the same thing. Just wanted to get out there, do something a little different, because for me, doing the YouTube side of things, fishing local tournaments and with a bass club, that was kind of fun. But I was like, let me go out there and just see if I could. I hear people that were fishing BFLs, they would always talk about qualifying for the regionals. So I was like, well, I'm not doing it to try to win first place or get the, $50,000 check, or even being, I was like, I want to get out here, see if I can place in the top 45, because that's what they said you needed to do, and just see if I could qualify for regionals. So I went out there and, I started off all right. I was in the 30s, and then, I dropped down a little bit into the 40s, 30, but I stayed in there, qualified for the regionals. And I was like, all right.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, I did it. And so once I did that and qualified for regionals, I was like, well, I accomplished my goal. And I wasn't even going to go and fish the regionals, even though I qualified. And everybody was like, you did all of that and you're not going to go? I was like, well, yeah, it wasn't like I'm doing this for, trying to get the money or anything like that. it's really, I was doing it for a little bit of content and then just wanted to see, you know, how well I could do. And whenever I saw you say that you were about to go, you know, go and start fishing in the opens and stuff, I was like, oh my goodness, he's about to do it. And I was like, man, he has to get out there and crush it. Cause it's like, people look at the YouTube side of things like, oh yeah, that's just the the YouTuber side. But then just like I said, you're stepping out of the metaverse. That's what I was thinking about. You're stepping out of the metaverse and going over into the real world to see what happens out there. And you went out there and I was like, oh man, how did you do on the first one? So the first one, you didn't win the first one. It was what, either second or third?
I got fifth on the first one.
There you go. So even with that fifth, when you hit that fifth, I was like, oh man, I was like, he did it. I mean, that to me was already success. And then which one did you end up winning? Which was
that? Was the second one. Yeah. So it was just a hot start, man. Just everything was just so blown up at that point. Like and they were kind of close together. And so it was just like it all kind of, I don't know, in my head, it was kind of all just crazy the first time, because like, it was like I announced that I'm fishing the opens, and then I went straight into the opens. I showed like my carpet graphic decals that no one had ever done before, put a video up on that, boom, went and pre-fished. And I was like, oh man, I'm on them. Hopefully they don't move. Let's do this. Got to the tournament. And the tournament, the first day, I think it was one of the only days I did bass track, and a lot of people don't do bass track. Mm-hmm. But Cole my camera guy kind of did it for me. And I knew if I got to the spot to start the morning, I was going to crush them. And I did. And so I had like 17 pounds in the first like 20 minutes.
And what lake was that again?
That was Eufaula, Alabama.
Okay.
And so,
I did pretty good on Eufaula before too. I had 17 pounds on Eufaula before. So that's actually my biggest bag from Eufaula.
Yeah, it's a great lake, but it was just like, so I was first on bass track for a long time during the day. Right. And then everyone weighs in, and I'm like in 20th place after that. But people were all hyped up about it and everything. And then I was like 19th, 20th. And the second day I come in with a big bag and I get fifth. And so people are like sky high. And then I go to Toledo Bend, and in practice I catch a 10-pounder, and people are like, oh my God, like he's on them, like whatever.
Right.
And then I go win the tournament. And then after that, it's just like my first two events, like fifth place, first place. Man, everything was going so crazy good. It was pretty wild.
Right. Yeah. I mean, after you got that second tournament and won that I was like, oh, it's over. I was like, he's already accomplished it. It's done. But I mean, you still kept going, and now heading to the elites. I was like, man, I mean, what's the plan? How far are you looking to continue on with it? Or is that going to be like a path that you stay on, or what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of felt guilty about it, and self-conscious maybe is a way to say it, but I don't really have any long-term goals. I haven't for a long time. And I've always thought that was weird. And I felt weird about saying that, because everyone talks about how goal oriented you should be.
Right.
But I really don't. I just kind of do the best I can every day. And I've had a lot of success that way, just grinding and taking it one day at a time. Right. Obviously, I would love to win Angler of the Year, and I would love to qualify for the Classic next year, and I would love to win the Classic this year, and I'd love to win the trophies in the Elite Series. But I mean, it's just, I'm going to do the best I can. I don't have any super hype accolades or predictions or anything. I know these guys are crazy good, and so like getting 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 checks in the top half of the field is a great accomplishment. So I hope I can do that. And I'm going to do my best and try to win every single one of them, and we'll see where that gets me.
Hey, because I mean, like I said, the thing that I keep thinking about is that kid sitting in that chair that has just quit his job, has that wife at home. Did you already have well, you had one child, but I can't remember if you had the second one yet. You didn't have the second one yet,
no,
right?
It was just my oldest son Max.
And so you were trying to figure out life and everything. And so it's like, to look and see you now, it's like, it's just like a sigh of relief. Okay, he made it. He was okay. That kid that we watched in that video. And guys, if you have not watched those videos that he put out, I think that was about 6-7 years ago. Go back and watch those videos and look at who you see in front of you then and look at who you see in front of you now. I mean, it's a tough road for everybody out here, but to see somebody make it and accomplish it, I mean, it just makes people, it gives people, it makes them feel like they can do it too. They can accomplish things, even whenever you're going through struggles in life and stuff like that. That is kind of how I looked at it. So whether people like Ben Milikin, don't like Ben Milikin, follow him or don't follow him or anything, just that story itself is like an inspirational thing that I think anybody can take something from, and kind of build on and follow, just see that, hey, things are going to have their ups and downs, but just keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
100%, man. I'm not trying to turn this into a sentimental thing, but it's just like, you're 100% right. It doesn't matter if you're 16 years old or if you're 40 years old or if you're 70 years old. If you keep an open mind, use the internet, just learn, understand where you can fit in whatever you're passionate about, and then be crazy passionate about that and work your ass off, you can really accomplish crazy things. Like, there's no reason that I worked at 8 to 5. I couldn't go fish the tournament series and take 8 to 12 weeks off work like I needed to go fish professional. Like, it wasn't possible. It wasn't in the cards. I couldn't afford it. Had a shitty job that paid shitty. And like, there's no reason I should be able to. And I kept my eyes open. I networked. I made contacts with people that were able to be successful on the internet, YouTube side of things. And here I am. I mean, 1,500 videos later, of course, it wasn't like it was just like, boom,
right?
Hey guys, follow me. I like to fish, but if you really want to do it, man, and you really like, it's not wanting to do it, it's not being good at doing it, but it's understanding how you can do it on top of that, and then working your ass off, you can get to where you want to be.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, that path, even those little, when you used to cast the swim baits in the pool and just working on tweaking them and all those things behind it. So people see those videos, but that video could have been 2 or 3 weeks in the making of all that tweaking and all that perfection that goes into it. So we see a small snippet of that, but it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's just good to see all of that come together and see that, it's something that can help other people and keep other people pushing. But yeah,
100%.
So
that was one of the coolest things about this year. I used so many different techniques and so many little tiny details throughout my fishing and the tournaments this year that was just like, man, I don't know why I did it, but I spent this much time doing this crazy tweak to a swim bait, and I figured out this. And then in the 9th tournament of the year, I caught a 7-pounder because of that tweak. Like, it's crazy little stuff. And it's like every little thing that I was trying to dial in, I used at some point, and I really wouldn't be here without it. So, man, it's cool.
Yeah, good. When you first announced it, I was like, man, he's going to go out there and throw those big swim baits. Oh, my goodness. Ooh, they are in trouble. He's going to be out there dropping bombs, throwing 20-inch swim bait out there. Boosh. Hitting it.
Yeah, man. Well, I think a lot of guys in the tournament side of things, kind of were familiar with my videos and kind of saw that side of things, just the swim bait, big bait side of things. They're like, this idiot is going to come try to throw swim baits
and zero
every single lake. Yeah, they're like, he's going to zero or hero. We'll see. And I'm just like, nah, that's not what I'm going to catch them how they want to be caught, man. I'll keep that ace in the hole in the back pocket, but if they want to be drop shotted, I'm going to throw a damn drop shot, not a freaking 10-inch swim bait. So when it needed to be thrown, man, I pulled it out and I threw it, and it was magic. I caught him when I needed to catch him on it. And I tried the big stuff everywhere we went, but I capitalized when I needed to, and it turned out to be a perfect year for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, let me hop back into the chat real quick and see what we have going on. So I gave a big shout out to Edward Ragsdale Fishing. He was the sponsor of the show, coming in with the $9.99. But then what did we have? Joe Winkler said, "Oh, hold up, swole up. I think I want to come in with the 25." So let me wait a minute. I was gonna go in here and change a little something, but it looks like somebody else came in right behind that. Shout out to DP.
Yes,
DP,
sir.
He hit us with the $2 super chat. Really, really appreciate that, guys. Really appreciate everybody tuning in and checking in, showing strong support for the channel. And I see you guys are definitely getting active in the chat. I'll try to hop in the chat when I can, but we have some good conversation going on. But who is this? Big Jim Fishing hit the channel with a big $50 super chat. Let's see. What does Big Jim say? He says, great to see Ben on Money Bash. Shout out to Team Powerhouse Lithium. Okay, so that's one of your sponsors?
It is, yes, sir.
Okay, so I think that's who I think he has that too. He says check out check out my channel, guys. Yeah, definitely make sure you go and check out Big Jim Fishing. So maybe I'll be able to get him to come up whenever I do the question answers segment. I know there's a few guys that have some questions, but what I do
Big Jim.
Yeah, Big Jim Fishing. He's out here doing his thing. Big Jim Fishing hit us with the $50 super chat. But what I need to do, look, guys, look, they're putting me to work. So I need to do a little calculations, because what I do each week is whoever gives the largest super chat, super sticker during the live stream, they are the sponsor. So I got Edward Ragsdale Fishing, I got Big Jim, I got Darren Pearson, we have DP checking in. Man, really, really appreciate it, guys. And I'm glad that you guys are able to find value to the in the content that I bring each week. I mean, it's not easy. And when I see you guys, giving to the channel, supporting the channel like this, I really, really appreciate it more than you guys know. Really, more than you guys know. All right, so Edward Ragsdale Fishing. Let me just check and see. Does Edward Ragsdale Fishing beat Big Jim? All right, I need a drum roll sound on here. But hold on just a second. Let me just see, guys. So we have Big Jim Fishing. Uh-oh. I do not think it's gonna happen, because I see something else that is going on in here. So we'll go ahead and do some super chat wars real quick. Get that out of the way, and then we'll hop back into the content. Because right after Big Jim came in, we had Edward Ragsdale Fishing. He came right behind that with the $49.99 super chat. Goodness, Edward Ragsdale Fishing. Let me do some calculations real quick. So do I have that right? Yeah, I think I have that right.
Is this why they call you Money Bass, dog? What's the world here? God dang, I need to do more of these live chats.
Hey, we can link up. I can show you. I mean, obviously, you're the big dog in this metaverse YouTube world, but hey, I might be able to show you a little thing. I might be able to show you a thing or two. But yeah, Edward Ragsdale Fishing came in with the $49.99, so he is the sponsor of the live stream. Let me just update this banner real quick, then we'll get back into the content. When you guys are hooking the channel up like this, actually, I don't even need to change the banner. Edward Ragsdale Fishing said, hey, nobody's taking my spot tonight. You can try, but it's not going to happen. And got to give a big shout out to the Bass Hunter. Make sure you guys go and check out his channel. He hit the channel with a $19.99 super chat. He says, money, I want some of Ben too. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna have to explain this one to you. All right, he said, I want some of Ben too. He is not safe here because he is on the Elite Series. We needed to see him on Lake Lanier. Oh my goodness. I know you're not.
I'm sure we'll be on Lake Lanier at some point next few years. It seems like it's just cracking off, which I'm sure Bass is taking note of.
Oh yeah, Jordan Lee was out here. Was it this past weekend or the weekend before? He came and had like a 23.95 bag, got in third place.
Damn.
He spotted bass on this lake. They ain't no joke on Lake Lanier. But yeah, so we do this thing called Battle of the Anglers, where we're out here live on the lake and we're competing against each other. We're talking to each other. The chat is in there the same way me and you are on the screen. Just imagine us out on the lake fishing against each other.
That's badass.
So yeah, so that's what he's talking about. So Bass Hunter, he ain't afraid of anybody. He's like, bring those big swim baits out here and let's see what you can do on Lake Lanier. Oh my goodness. All right, big shout out to Bass Hunter. Really, really appreciate it. All right, so let's see. What can we get into, guys? Let me hop in the chat and see.
We got Zark in the chat. That's dangerous.
Don't let him link up with Joseph. Joseph is always in there causing problems. Yeah, these guys are rolling.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, Zark hasn't slept in like 40 hours straight. We just fished for the last 3 days, and then he drove 13 hours overnight last night, and then worked all day today. So
wow.
Yeah, he's probably on one right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, because when we talked, you guys were I was like, they're out in the middle of nowhere. The phone's cutting off and coming back in.
We were. It was bad. Sorry about that.
Are they out in the mountains? What's going on?
If I go like 10 minutes from my house, I have bad reception in the middle of Houston, so I'm not even surprised.
Gotcha. All right, so look, we got a nice little crowd here. Let's go ahead and get into a little controversy. We can go ahead and talk about this a little bit. So, we recently did a head-to-head with Randy Blaukat. Oh yeah, guys, Randy Blaukat and Ben Milikin was on there going head-to-head. So what are your thoughts on that? So, and what I always like to say on this channel, because Randy is a friend of the channel. Sometimes he's in the chat, sometimes he's been in the chat. I haven't got him to come on yet, but he's in the chat, mixing it up with the guys every once in a while. But what I always say, because in these things, there's always somebody who believes this way, somebody who believes this way, and the people behind each one of those sides are a little more fierce than the actual people that are standing in the front. You know what I mean?
For real.
So really, it's like, to me, like your point of view, his point of view, to me, it all reminds me of whenever we're in tournaments, and some of my best friends that I hang out with, we do not agree on certain things. So people may see us out there and like, man, those guys don't like each other. What's going on? But no, it's like, it's all part of the game. We're having some fun with it. We're just exchanging ideas. You never know when somebody may say something that makes you say, okay, I see what you're saying there. But so from your point of view, how did you, what was your perception or your thoughts on the overall debate that you had with that, which was a long time coming? Everybody was really into looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just be straight up with you guys. Like, I didn't feel like it wasn't like a pro live scope versus anti live scope debate in my eyes. I personally don't think live scope should be banned. I catch a lot of giant fish and do well because of live scope. But as you've stated many times, and we talked about before we got on here, like, I caught them before live scope just as well, and won a lot of tournaments before live scope, whatever. But I don't think it should be banned. And so I kind of came on with a pro live scope type of position on it. But I'll just be straight with you. Like, I don't respect Randy Blaukat, because I think that he comes at this, and he doesn't come at it from the perspective of he thinks live scope should be banned, even though he's made 62 million videos about it. He just I feel like he's straight up trying to make money. He's trying to capitalize off of views, and he's making clickbait in the most clickable topics possible, which I don't hate him for making. I don't hate him at all. Like, he loves to fish, whatever. He's probably a decent enough dude. But for him to act like he's some type of figure in the fishing industry that should be respected and in some type of way, because he's got all this tournament background and everything, and that he stands up for the little guy that can't afford it, or he is not a tournament guy, or wants to make it as a living. That's a bunch of garbage. He's trying to get views, he's trying to get clicks, and he makes as many videos as possible with as many controversial topics as possible, to try to get views. And so it's not like I'm trying, like, I don't think he gives a shit if live scope. I don't think he hates live scope or doesn't or thinks it should be banned. He doesn't understand it. I'm well aware of that, because he's spouting off opinions against the facts that I provided him, and straight up said that he's in his own world and in his own mind, instead of actually paying attention to what's actually happening with the fish populations and how the fish are reacting. But yeah, I straight up look at it as like, he should be someone that's just straight up comes out and says, like, my position and my job in the fishing industry is to make controversial videos about topics to try to get views, instead of actually trying to pretend like he's providing legitimate factual context to his viewers. And I don't think I'll just be straight. I don't think it's right for someone in the industry with as big of a following as he has to spread false information. And he has spread so much false information. And it's not just me saying that, it's people that are high up in bass that I'm not going to bring up their names, but it's people that, like, you're watching on TV, people that have very predominant podcasts and places in the industry that are saying this guy is absolutely ridiculous and terrible for the sport and for the industry, because he's spreading false information based on his opinions. And you can see pretty quickly it's just opinions when you start to look through some of his stuff. Like, obviously he would have a slighted opinion towards it when he's sour about how he finished the last part of his career. He wasn't competitive the last 10 years before live scope even came about. He wasn't competitive in tournament fishing. And so of course he's going to have that opinion. And of course, once he sees that he posts one video about live scope wrecking the sport and this is destroying fisheries, that it gets a lot of views. Of course he's going to make a million videos about it. Like I talked about in that podcast on Bass After Dark, he's posted 19 videos about the walleye cheaters. 19.
Gotcha.
Anything more than one is a little bit excessive. He's posted 19. So, I mean, it's just like...
But look, everybody had to talk about the walleye cheaters. That was
of course. But I'm just saying, like, he's never made a walleye fishing video before, and then all of a sudden he's Mr. I need to tell everyone about how the walleye cheaters are doing with their court cases every 30 seconds. So you know about cheating and fishing. It's pretty obvious where the motive is there.
Yeah, and see, for me, I pretty much know Randy from YouTube. I wasn't really following the fishing industry like that, but for me to hear the things that he did accomplish in the past, to me, it's like, I look at it like, hey, I have to respect where he came from and the things that he accomplished to where he is now. But like I said, I know him from the YouTube side of things. So seeing him put out that content out and everything, I always looked at it as like, man, this guy's work ethic is crazy. I tried to do that at one time, talk about worms and talk about this. I was like, man, what am I going to talk about today? I could not keep up. So I was like, nah, I'm fishing. I have all these baits and all this stuff, but I cannot keep up with that.
I mean, I can respect posting 3, 4, 5 videos a day. That's on another level for sure. Whether it's helpful or valid information or not, you just freaking just letting it roll and making that much content is a spectacle in itself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I mean, but then when it comes to like you said, the forward facing sonar debate, one side versus the other side, yeah, it's like, in a sense, it's objective versus subjective reasoning. So objective obviously is coming with facts and details and statistics, things like that, and subjective is more like what your opinion, what you see from your point of view, or like if me and my friend or my friend saw this, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like a more of opinionated thing. And it's like, I kind of listened to some of the things he has to say, and I did a poll on here before. I kind of went through some of the things, and of course, a poll on a channel, I always say it is just to gauge the room. This is not going to be anything that's going to tell you what's going on in the outside world. I just try to, whenever I talk about the topics, I want to see if I have people that's kind of on both sides of it, so we can kind of exchange ideas on it. So, yeah, it's just kind of...
It's a weird topic. I mean, I definitely see where someone that would be not liking live scope or worried about live scope is coming from. 100%. I feel like it does make fishing more difficult if you don't know the technology, because it's educating fish at a quicker pace than any other form of technology ever has. It's tough because it's like, if you're going to poll someone, you should probably poll people and take opinions from people that have used it at least. And you're never going to get that. And that's understandable too. Of course, you're never going to get that. Like if I asked my audience, or if I even asked people that fish tournaments, what's your thoughts on it? Like, I'm still going to get people that have never used it and are just like, well, people are doing well with it because they have it, but I don't have it. So I don't think we should have it anymore, So it's like, it's hard to get really that objective point of view when, I mean, I do see like why people wouldn't like it, why we don't want technology to advance any further. I totally understand that.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So I have a question for you. So we know pretty much what you disagree with, but are there any points that he makes concerning forward facing sonar that you do agree with?
I mean, just kind of taken from what I just said, like, I agree that if we're going to, I would agree with what he's saying about worrying about it going too far with like, well, what is the next thing going to be? If forward-facing sonar is this good and it's made fisheries this tough, what's the next thing? Wow, you just got a bunch more money from the lead attorney. Look at that.
Oh, my goodness.
But I also, like, I don't think it can go any further to where it can help fishermen at the same rate that like jumping from side imaging in 360 to forward facing sonar did. Like
Gotcha.
we talk about, well, what if AI gets involved in these things? It's like, well, if I have a forward facing sonar that's able to decide if it's a bass or a catfish, that doesn't help me hardly at all. Like, from watching it, like I know looking at it, like I was fishing today and I saw crappie, I saw bass, I saw gar, I saw catfish.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make them bite any better. Like, just me spending a couple of years with it makes me understand what they are. But there's nature involved, and there's critters that we can't control involved, unless there's something to where we can somehow, with a frequency or a noise, change the attitude of a fish, which we kind of had with hydrowave, but that's kind of here and there.
I think even the pinging. I think those fish are picking up on that pinging too.
Of course, yeah. So there's all sorts of environmental factors that the fish are becoming conditioned to, mostly, in my opinion, from just a boat being there. They hear the boat, the waves slapping against it more than anything. They hear the ping from the sonar. They hear the trolling motor spinning. And the more and more they get caught, the more they get conditioned to, I got an ouchie in my mouth and got pulled out of the water when I heard this noise. I felt the boat slap. I heard the pinging of the sonar. And so I'm going to bite less or be more weary when I see a presentation while I'm hearing that.
And a point that I want to make on that, and that what you just said is what I tell people all of the time, because I used to be able to go out and kill them on sonar. I could read sonar like when, okay, here it comes, it's following my bait, it's chasing real fast. I was reading sonar like that. And so people would say, well, where's your drop shot at? You don't have it anymore. And I was like, well, the fish are reacting different now. And they were like, you think the fish can tell? And I was like, well, think of it like this. Well, maybe everybody won't be able to relate to this, but a cowbell, everybody knows when you ring the cowbell, what happens? The cows start coming because they know it's time to eat. So to me, when fish hear that ticking underwater, they're like, hey, let's go and get something to eat. And they're like, oh goodness, Jimmy got a hole in his mouth, and where did he go? They hear they come over again. Oh goodness, where did Bob go? Bob's gone too. So when they hear they're like, hey, bad things happen when we hear this little pinging sound. So we're gonna kind of stay away from that. So to me, I kind of look at it as like that has now become a signal for some of those fish to be like, hey, there's some bad things going over there. We need to get away. We hear it coming, so let's go ahead and head out.
100%. I mean, that's been going on for generations and generations of fish prior to forward-facing sonar too. But now it's happening at a quicker rate just because technology is advancing. People are able to drop a bait on top of fish. And that's something I don't really like to share or talk about too much, but I will to your money bass followers. Like, fish get really conditioned to a plop or whatever noise it makes on top of their head. That's the biggest, like, traveling across the country and fishing different fisheries, especially at the smallmouth stuff where you're seeing fish, I mean, even 25, 30 feet down. You drop the drop shot 80 feet from the boat, right on their dome, and they don't eat it. They go down to it and they stop and they don't eat it. Well, they should eat it every time, but they don't.
Right.
You see how they get conditioned to a bait falling on their head. Same thing down here in Texas. Like, the further we go on and the more they get the baits dropped on top of them, they get conditioned to a bait falling straight down on their head. And that's something that I've noticed for a few years now. Mm-hmm. That's how they're getting conditioned. They know not to eat presentations. A lot of them do, that are dropped perfectly vertical, and that's just from them seeing that over and over and over and over and getting caught, or seeing fake things, or seeing their friends caught if they can process that in their brains. I don't know, but that's what's happening.
All right. Well, let me do a little something real quick, because I saw something that caught my eye. And when something like this happens, oh my goodness, I have to stop the show. We have a big dog, one of the big YouTubers in the house, guys. We have the lead attorney. Checking in. He says, salute, Money Bass. All right. He says, great stream. Really, really appreciate it. And that means I have to get in here and do a little work. Edward Ragsdale Fishing, he came in and took your spot. He was like, oh, nah, partner, I'm the lead attorney. I need to come in here and lead this live stream. He has hit us with the $100 super chat, guys. What I say each week when we do these live streams every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to start adding a little more to it, is whoever gives the largest super chat or super sticker during the live stream is the sponsor of that live stream. Because as you guys see, we do not have sponsors. We are sponsored by you guys, the viewers, subscribers, and people that kind of step in every once in a while and like, hey, what's going on over there on that Money Bass channel? I mean, how is he always getting all this stuff? What is going on over there? So really, really appreciate the lead attorney. All right, let me hop in here and do a little work. This is a live show, guys, so just bear with me. The banner that you see down at the bottom is where I show some respect to the sponsor of the live stream. All right, so let me change that. So big shout out to Edward Ragsdale Fishing, but the lead attorney has come in and said, hey, hold up, swole up. Let me go ahead and take this spot right here because, you know, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing. I'm getting some value from this channel, and I'm really enjoying the conversation that's going on. All right, so now if you guys take a look at the bottom of the screen, you will see the banner reads, special thank you so much to the sponsor of the stream, the lead attorney. Really, really appreciate that. All right, yeah, man. So we're rolling. So yeah, we'll have to link up after this, and I might have to talk to you about a few things. And also, can't forget, real quick. I always have to put respect where respect is due. We had, let's see, who else do we have checking in here? I can't forget. We had the bass hunter. There we go. We have the aquatic biologist. The aquatic biologist sounds like that might be one of your people right there. You have, what's your degree in, Milliken?
My degree is in environmental studies.
Environmental study. Okay, so we have
Yes,
the
sir.
aquatic biologist checking in. Shout out
Respect
to the aquatic.
that.
Yeah, says, what's up, money? I'm digging the channel. My page blends fishing with, what is that? Do you see that word? Fisheries. Fisheries. Fisheries science for anyone with ponds and small lakes they manage. All right, big shout out to that. Sir. And really, really appreciate the super chat, the 1999. So we have aquatic biologist checking in, and want to give a quick shout out to a new member of the channel. Chappie has become a new member of the channel. Anybody that is interested to become a member of the channel, just click the link down below, the join button. It'll give you the information as far as some of the perks that come along with it. And if you take a look in the chat, the guys that you see that have the badges right next to their name, where they've been a member for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, that is one of the perks of it. And whenever we do these live stream, guys, the members of the money team, those guys stand out in the chat. So really, really appreciate that. Chappie, new member of the stream. All right, so let me see. Let me drop this back down real quick. Let's get back into it. Let's see what else we have on the agenda to talk about. So the thing that you were saying about as far as what you agreed with, for me, I would say one of the things that comes, you know, closer to the end that I think people will start have some sense of agreement is whenever he starts talking about the tradition of fishing. And for me, one of the things that I always ask people in the chat and in my comment section is, hey, so when you hear like the tradition of fishing, what is that? What do you see fishing as? Because the fishing industry, in a sense, from what I've seen, is more of a marketing platform. And then the people within that industry are there to market the products that support that industry. Similar to, let's say, like a television show. So you're watching the show, you're enjoying the show, which are the fishermen in the tournament, but you're watching that TV show, but those commercials that come on that you don't want to see, that is what allows that show to be on. So that's kind of how I see the tournament industry as a marketing platform, whereas what I think that most people look at as far when they talk about the tradition of fishing is just that man versus man going out there and seeing who is the best fisherman, who is going to catch those fish. So what do you think about as far as like whenever he's speaking about the tradition and protecting the tradition of fishing?
Yeah, really where I look at that is, you know, tournament fishing is just a tiny sliver of the fishing industry. And that's something that I really opened my eyes when I started doing the YouTube thing full time, because I fished, you know, of course, growing up the first 18 years of my life, like I fished for whatever. We fished around here for whatever we could eat, basically, and or around Nebraska anyway. And that's how I grew up. We'd eat fish. I mean, I didn't even prefer bass fishing. I'd prefer to go catch, you know, catfish, crappie, walleye, whatever would bite.
Those catfish are always easy. Just throw some liver in there and you can go home and
they pull
lunch.
hard, then you don't got to think. It's great.
Right.
But but then I got into the bass fishing. I got into the tournaments. I started the YouTube thing, and I started realizing like you can appeal to a much larger audience sitting on a bucket, throwing into a spillway that's 5 feet wide by 20 feet long, catching carp or catfish or whatever will bite 100 times more than going and fishing a bass tournament. And that kind of like led me to think like, it's kind of bullshit that these guys can make these videos, like getting these views, all these views when I'm like winning a damn tournament and no one cares that much, or it's not that big of an audience watching. But what that really made me realize, kind of come full circle with that idea, is that fishing is whatever you want to make it. It doesn't matter if you want to spend $1 million on a boat and a truck and tackle and traveling and fishing tournaments and dumping everything you have into it, or if you want to go buy a $10 rod at Walmart and some worms and go fish on the bank. It doesn't matter. It can be whatever you want to do with it, and you can't judge people or criticize people because they decided this is what they want to do with it. And that's a beautiful thing. Just to make it simple, like that's a great thing. That's a great thing about this sport, because that's what separates our sport from other sports. Like they say more people fish than play tennis and golf combined.
Right. Yeah.
And that's cool because everyone can do it. Not everyone can go spend $10,000 on golf clubs and however much it costs to go golf. I don't fucking do it. I'm terrible at it, but I hate it. But like, there's no barrier to entry hardly at all for fishing. And that's a great thing about it. And so when that idea is like, this is the intrinsic value of fishing. This is how you should fish. This is how you should learn to fish. This is how I learned to fish. So this is the right way to fish. Right. When that gets brought up, it's like fishing is what you make it. And that's your opinion. Right. Like you could grow up and your dad is, Kevin Van Dam, just as an idea. And if he tells you, like, if he starts you off in tournament fishing, and that's all then that's what you want to do with fishing. Right. Or you could be like the 99% of people that fish, the 80 million fishing licenses that get sold a year, that don't care at all about tournament fishing, and you want to sit on a bucket and fish twice a year and catch something, and that's amazing too. So you can't say like, this is how to learn to fish. This is the right way to do it. This is the intrinsic value of fishing. This is how we should all learn. This is how you should teach people to learn. It's like fishing can be anything that you want it to be, whether it's freshwater, saltwater, tiny bodies of water, massive reservoirs, tournaments, fun fishing, whatever. And so it's like, I do agree with that. I loved how I learned to fish, which was fishing with a night crawler, dragging it on the bottom of the lake or on a bobber. And that was amazing. I love it. I still love to do that. I love to teach my sons that. And I'd go teach my 3-year-old. And when he was 1-year-old, he was catching fish doing that in our backyard pond. But there's also the other side of me that fishes the highest level fishing tournaments. Right. And when I do that, I have a $90,000 bass boat with the best technology possible and way too much money worth of tackle and rods and reels. Why are we limiting the amount of technology that goes into that just as a simple, like, weird line that we drew somewhere along the way? Like, you can have 360 and side imaging, but you can't have forward facing sonar. It's
Yeah, I mean, think once you get a certain level of understanding about all of those things, the first question whenever somebody reacts like that is like, why? Why weren't you acting like this whenever sonar came out? Why weren't you acting like this? Because the people that really know how to use it, we see things that other people don't see, even with sonar. Because people would always say, how can you say that fish is doing this and go, how are you able to read the fish and say what your bait is doing as it's doing it and say, oh, the fish is biting, the fish is about to bite. Bam, with sonar. So even if you take, go back to downscale, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of crazy to me. But the other thing, as far as the tradition, whenever I first started tournament, I've only started tournament fishing maybe about 10 years ago or so. And whenever I first started, I always just looked at fishing as the way that I grew up doing it, waking up early in the morning, going out to the pig pen, digging up and getting those big fat night crawlers and walking about, I don't know how long we'd walk till we found a creek or something and throw our little lines out there, catch something and come back home and eat it. So growing up, to me, that was like what fishing was. And then as I got older, we started using artificial baits and things like that. And when I started tournament fishing, one of the first things I remember hearing is somebody said something about a fish finder. I didn't know what that was. And I was like, we're in a tournament. I was like, what is that? I was like, you can use that? It's called a fish finder. I thought you just go out and go fishing. I didn't know you do. Then I heard about rattles. Somebody was putting some rattles in their bait. And I was like, you can do that? I was like, I thought we're supposed to just be, just using your own skills, no extra anything. If we just get a rod in our hands, we have to go and find our own worms, then to me, that is real traditional fishing to me. And I realized that is a subjective thing because everybody may look at something different whenever they're talking about what traditional fishing is to them. So, yeah, that was kind of.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. I mean, everything's subjective. Like I said, like it was cool when you dug up worms. That was how you wanted to fish and how you perceived it. And it was cool when you got a boat, you went out and caught them. And then it was cool when you got into tournaments and you didn't have any technology. And now it's cool when you have technology and you're in tournaments. Like just it's what you want to make it. Like,
right.
I don't know, man.
So look, how much time do you have? I have a few people that I dropped the link to.
I got hours. Let's roll. Let's go till midnight.
All right. Well, let's see. Look, I've done a 6-hour live stream.
Let's do it.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's see, who do we have? Let's see, who is this? Is this Big Jim Fishing?
Hey,
what is going on, Big Jim?
How's it going
on? So how are you liking the conversation so far? What do you think?
I'm really enjoying Ben, sharing his story, and you guys talk about fishing and everything. And if you don't mind, I got a couple of questions for Ben.
Let's go, Big Jim.
All right. I've got a fishing question, a boat question, and a technical forward-facing sonar question.
That's too much. I can only do one. I'm just kidding. Go for it.
Okay, here's the fishing question. When you're practicing, man, on a new body of water, what are you looking for to find that special spot off the beaten path?
I mean, a lot goes into it. Research on the body of water, time of year, water clarity, and then a lot of that can be completely thrown out once you actually get out on the water. But I guess the biggest thing to me would be like, I develop so many different baits that I have a lot of confidence in. And so being able to kind of get an idea of these areas that the bass would be in based on how a lake sets up, whether it be a river, a man-made reservoir, a river system style lake, and then matching that with the time of year allows you to kind of decide, are these fish setting up because of they're going to go spawn and they're staging to spawn, pre-spawn, post-spawn? Are they setting up because of current, or are they setting up because of bait? And once you figure that out, you can start to really scan around with your side imaging and find more isolated, whether that be a hard spot on a point, like the sweet spot of a point, a brush pile, a channel swing bank, something where those fish can really set up. That's I guess how you kind of break it down. That's a really a vague question and a vague answer, but that's what I do.
That's all right. That's cool. Thanks. Now I'm going to move to the boat question. Last year you got a carpet wrap. Tell us your thoughts on it, and do you see it becoming a thing?
I don't know if it'll become a thing. From talking to the gentleman that did it for me at Upper Deckers was the type of wrap it was. He said a lot of people reach out to him. It really blew him up, and I really liked it. It actually it didn't fade, and and now that I'm in a weird position with a boat right now where I'm like, for a month I have a boat that I used to have that doesn't have it. Now that I took my Camus back, my dog doesn't shed on the carpet wrap. There's hair all over the carpet already. It doesn't absorb as much water. Like there should never be carpet in a boat ever. That's the craziest thing to me, that people ever put carpet in a boat. But it kept its traction all year, and it kept its color. And I think it's a great marketing tool, honestly, man. It was great.
Yeah, cool. It was different. Nobody
It
else
was different.
had that.
Exactly.
And here's my last question. I wanted to thank you in advance for taking them, and Money for having me on. But we're going to talk a little forward-facing sonar here. A lot of guys in the chat have been asking, hey, let's talk about it. So I want to bring up a controversial topic that relies with battery power and stuff like that. Do you think applying higher voltage to a unit or your GLS 10, is it beneficial?
Man, that's a tough one to answer. I don't even have a good answer for that, which is kind of a new answer for me based on what I've learned and really used. But my 16 volt that I run with Powerhouse seems to give the cleanest image that I've seen. A lot of people think it's just because that when they see the voltages on the screen, but really it's a lot because I have my my color gain really dialed in, and I change it constantly, and my regular gain a lot. And so I would say, like, if you have Garmin, you need to really adjust your you need to run. I run my color gain as hot as I can, which is usually in that 90-ish percentile, and then I'll adjust my regular gain as it goes, usually from 69, 70% up to 72, 73%, as long as there's not too much shit in the water.
Yeah.
If that's not working for you, then it's a transducer issue.
Yeah. You know, I'm a Powerhouse lithium fan myself, and I just wanted to say that 16 volt battery to me makes all the difference in the world as far as bringing, good, clean power to the units. And I really think it makes a difference. But hey, thanks for letting me ask some questions, and really enjoying the show. So we're going to, I'm going to turn it back over to Money.
All right. Big shout out for Big Jim, guys. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to come up. And the link is in the chat, guys. So let's see who else we have that wants to come up. Who is this? Who do we have? We have Country Boy Fishing. What is going on, man? So what do you think? How are you enjoying the conversation?
Oh, man, this is awesome. Awesome experience. Awesome stream. You know how I feel about you, bro.
Really, really appreciate it. So we have
How you
Mr.
doing,
Ben Milikin.
How we doing, Country Boy?
Hey, we out here. We just plucking around in the field trying to catch fish,
I love it.
I do have a couple of comments and a couple of questions I do want to ask you. Since you've changed fish, congratulations, bro. You like Steve Curry in basketball right now. You've changed fishing for real. Like it's upside down. I've seen so many YouTubers pros mention your name in their streams and whatnot. You are making a greatly impacting the industry, and so congratulations to you and your success and moving forward and changing the industry in itself.
I appreciate that, man.
Man, no problem, man. You're making a change out here. So for us other guys who's out here in the fishing industry, so I travel around the country and teach children how to fish. So I use that platform because of my disability and whatnot. And I got a couple of questions to just spark up some ideas for the community in itself, but also just to, put on a platform of different niches out there for the fishing industry. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is I noticed, some of your videos and whatnot, that, you're going over the tournament series or you're going over the tournament trail and whatnot. Tell me how mental health really affects you in, fishing in itself, because, people think that we're just on buckets, like you're saying, all the time on the boat and just thinking that, that's what fishing is about. But tell me about the mental health and the mental capacity to actually go through these tournament trails and to go, you're spending a lot of money, so you got a lot of pressure on you. So at least go over the mental health part. Stream for me, please.
Yeah, man. I mean, mental health is something it's maybe the most overlooked side of this, because everyone talks about how fishing is a mental game, and that's all they leave it as, like, oh, it's 90% mental and then 10% catching fish. But they don't talk about the mental health side of things, whether that be how you are coming at it from your relationship with your wife or your partner at home, whatever that might be, or your your mental state on financially how you are right now. You know, if it's like, well, I need to run 80 miles, but if I don't catch them, then I'm not going to be able to afford to go home because I spent $7,000 in gas during practice in the tournament. People don't see that side of things. And so, yeah, I mean, mental health is huge before you even make a cast. And so that's something that was a challenge for me, I guess, that I haven't really talked about this year because I mean, I had my wife travel with me as much as possible. So we had my wife and our 3-year-old, and we had a baby during the season. And we had my son from Nebraska, Max. He's 13 now, and he kind of traveling with him this summer. So we had 3 kids. We got my wife trying to have a baby, having a baby, with newborn. I mean, and then I got a camera guy I got to account for. I got camera boats to account for. I got places to stay to account for that's going to accommodate everybody on top of the fishing and trying to make everyone, you know, comfortable enough to be happy enough in that area. Yeah, man. Right. I mean, just like talking about fishing is what you want to make it. I kind of made it a headache for myself a little bit this year with my life situation. And it was a wonderful thing. I'm so happy that I was able to have that and be able to travel with them. But yeah, I mean, you hear it a lot, you know, it's hard to fish and be successful without being happy at home, happy in your life. And there's a lot of truth to that, man. There's not many people that can just like flip a switch, turn it off, boom, you're fishing and you're going to go catch them now. And your wife wants to divorce you or is pissed off at you. And all this, but you're still able to go catch them and win a term, whatever. Like it's not that simple. Like, man, there's a lot that goes into it. And, and something to just kind of take it a step further. It's like the mental health of, should you even really be there? Like, is this where you want to be in your career? Like with your tournament, like, are you taking the right step? Because the Opens was such a huge step for me and it was the right step, obviously. But man, it was a bad step for a lot of guys that jumped in it this year. And even going in the BFLs is a bad, at that level is not a great step for a lot of people too. So I think you got to be self-aware and you have to understand, even if you are aspiring to be on the Elite Series or the top level of the MLF, you have to understand that financially, none of this makes sense without having a comfortable life outside of that. Because I'm not going to say I demonized people that came from money or had a successful business and so they were able to travel and fish these tournaments. But I kind of looked at it before like, oh, yeah, they're independently wealthy. Of course they can do well. Mm-hmm. But now that I do this, it's like that makes way more sense than any of this. Like, get yourself in a position where you're mentally right, where you're financially right, to where you can go fish it on the side and kind of be like, okay, I'm giving it my shot. This is my dream. And if I make it, it's amazing. And if not, then I'm okay too. But yeah, this fishing game's turned into like, it's a pipe dream for real. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer to say that, like, yeah, the mental health side of things is extremely important.
Man, you said a lot. And I think a lot of people don't realize the part you're playing, or when people are anglers, there were the new age anglers of all the moving parts behind the screen, behind the hook. Let's talk about it, behind the water. They're all that goes into that. Because like you say, I mean, I'm not on no major trail, but the travel that Money Bass has seen me do over the course of the years, I'm all over the place.
Didn't you go to Maine or Delaware or something like that?
Did you go to Delaware? I go to Delaware, California. I've been invited to.
Dang, man.
I was like, what are you doing in Delaware? What is up there?
My fishing experience has been a blessing in itself, but as you guys know, this passion turns into a business, and the business gets really busy. Gotcha. So my second question, I don't want to take up too much time. So my name is Coach B to the Gwinnett area kids in my area, White Oak Elementary, Lanier High School, Middle High School. And I deal with a lot of high school kids out in the area, and I am a fishing coach. So give me at least 3 good pointers that I can give to my students that will get them on the right track, because, there's a big movement for youth fishing. and I'm working on things to get things going up here in Gwinnett County with these kids. But what would be the top 3 things that you would say you could tell a 15-year-old, hey, this is what you need to do, focus on in order to try to make it into this fishing industry? Boom.
Yeah, man. Well,
Good one.
mad respect for you for doing that. That's awesome. We need more people like you to step up and do that. I'm so happy for you that you're doing that. 3 things. So I'm trying to narrow it to 3 things, but in my head, the biggest thing to me is that these kids need to understand, and it's going to be so boring and it's so hard, but they need to understand that the fundamentals are so important. I just always think back to myself as the bobber fisherman when I was, 6 years old. And I can remember back then I was so pissed off at my dad because I'm like, Dad, why do I have this noodly rod in this monofilament line and I can't get a hook in these fish in this damn bobber? And I keep losing over and over. And it's just like whatever species it was. And it's like, well, I needed to have a stiffer rod. I need to have braided line. And these are things that you gotta learn on the water, and you have to just go out and learn the fundamentals of what does this type of rod do? What does this type of line do? And you have to start from the bottom and really build it up. Too many people try to go from not fishing to forward-facing sonar, throwing a demicky rig on bass offshore. That's not how you learn how to fish. That's a terrible. That's terrible. That's why, another thing with the forward-facing sonar debate, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but it's like you don't just go do that. That's a terrible thing to do. And so, as cliche as it is, time on the water is just the deal, and as much time and as much different species as possible. I think that would be something as well. Like, don't just focus on bass fishing. Catch as many different species as possible would be something that I would really try to push towards them, because not only is that going to make them a better fisherman. I mean, I've done trips to California where I saltwater fished. I've done trips to Costa Rica with Oliver Nye where I saltwater fished. And I take things still with the fundamentals of hook sets and landing fish and catching fish from those trips that I apply to my bass fishing. Not only that, but you understand different parts of the industry that way, and you understand different sides of, this also exists. This is a really cool thing if you want to go that direction with your life, because 99.9% of the people, the kids that are in your club are not going to be a professional bass fisherman, even though probably 50% of them think or want to be, and so they need to understand that exists as well. And I guess, trying to think of a tip for someone that really wants to take it to the next level. I would try to push the kids to really do as much with social media as possible. They need to understand that they're not just going to start a YouTube channel once they're famous and catching fish. They're not just going to go win a couple tournaments and then start a YouTube channel and start getting views because of that and making a living. I would encourage them, because it's such a huge part of the industry these days, to get on as many social platforms as possible, post as much as possible, and post pictures, post videos, post shorts, post long form videos. See what they like, see what works, but most importantly, see what they enjoy, and do that and really get feedback, because it's the quicker they can start learning with social media and what's really sticking, the quicker they can get an idea of what their place is in the industry. And if their place is not to be someone that's on camera and posting videos and posting pictures, that's great too. There's way more jobs for people that are not catching fish that are on reel than what they are. So that's something that they'll really be able to get a lot of just self-awareness with what they want to do with their life in the fishing industry.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your efforts. Thank you, Money Bass, for the opportunity to speak to a big dog in the industry. He don't think he is, but he's a big. He's moving a lot of. He's changing a lot of things in this industry. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you guys. Love the stream tonight, man. Keep up good work, Money Bass. Keep doing your thing out there, Ben. And I see you guys on the water.
All right, and
Hell yeah.
I'll clip this out for you so you can show it to the kids, show them that you're up here mixing and making things happen out here in these YouTube streets.
Hey, the youth
All
is our
right.
future. Let's go catch them.
All right, appreciate you. All right, let's see who else do we have coming up on the scene. Let's see. So we have a few guys who want to ask a question or two. Who is this that we have right here? This is a friend of the channel. Let's see. Can I get him up here? Shout out to CT. This is Cerebral Tackle. So he is a commentator whenever we do the on the water challenges when we're competing against each other. So we'll be on the screen the same way. It's kind of like the format that you see right now. We'll be up here fishing and he'll be on the screen doing the commentating so I can focus on fishing. So what's going on, CT? How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. How about you, gentlemen? Y'all doing okay this evening?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Never been better.
Well, I know a lot of people want to talk about forward-facing sonar and some of the other hot topics of the day. And honestly, that's where I was going to go. But then you mentioned something else. And, my mind says squirrel. Went off chasing. And so I have a whole different question that's kind of multifaceted here. When you mentioned Uncle Randy, as we affectionately call him, jokingly, of course, when you mention him posting about the walleye cheaters, for example, when it comes to cheating in tournaments, many states have that down obviously as a contest fraud case, which is what those guys, one of the multiple charges they got prosecuted for. Do you believe cases of contest fraud are deserving of jail time?
It's a tough question. It's not really for me to decide, I guess. But I would come at it from a position of I don't care about jail time, but I would like for more strict punishments to be placed from the organizations. Like last year in the Opens, we had a case that was an egregious case of cheating that didn't really do anything other than that day got disqualified. That day, not the tournament even. And then that angler was allowed to fish the next few tournaments in the same division. So, yeah, I mean, if I cheat in the off season here for the Elite Series, I feel like I should get the entire tournament disqualified. And I mean, depending on what the cheating would be, I feel like maybe the season disqualified. That's just how what I would feel would be right for myself and for other people.
It's like in my experience on my channel covering not only the walleye cheaters but other cases. In particular, one guy that decided he wanted to fish not one professional high-level event without a fishing license, but two knowingly, not even attempting to get the license in the other state. It's the kind of thing my experience has been from the common angler, the guys that are out there beating the water, fishing the weekend tournaments, fishing the working mans. They take the pride in the sport and in the honesty and the integrity enough that they would love to see jail time. And so many of these prosecutors are not going after jail time. Like for the walleye cheaters, that wasn't even part of the plea bargain. As a matter of fact, the only reason they got jail time was because one specific channel actually wrote a letter to the judge and the judge referenced it during sentencing. So it's the kind of thing of the masses. And I think there's kind of a separation there of the common man versus the professional angler. And I think that's not going to bode well for the professional side, because it's almost like if they can kind of get away with more than the common man can. Because I guarantee you, if it was anybody else that had fished two tournaments without a license, and at that point they would end up getting a bit harder of a slap. Granted, I'm not saying that every single infraction in a tournament is worthy of jail time. Please don't mistake me on that. There's a difference between the rules and the laws, right? There's multiple infractions out there that can happen during the course of a day, and they're DQ'd for like you said, for the day or for the whole tournament, but it's not a criminal offense. But when it comes to actual cheating and contest fraud, that's what I was just curious about, because it just seems like to me there's a large disconnect depending on what level the angler is fishing, as to what the perceived punishment should be. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, that's. I mean, and there's a gray area, of course, with everything on that. If I felt like an angler fished without a license, I mean, I feel like they should get a ticket for like they would if it was someone not in a tournament for not having a license, and probably not, obviously, not do jail time for that. Not great to obviously know you don't have a license to fish the tournament. Whether I don't know, I'm not gonna go into that. Like I think it's ridiculous that you have to have a fishing license for every state. And I spend freaking thousands of dollars on fishing licenses a year for a country that I pay taxes in. But that's neither here nor there. But if you're gonna be I mean,
true, but the national taxes don't pay for the state's fisheries.
Of course, yep, I get it, and I pay state taxes too. But
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I get it. You shouldn't break the law. I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't go to jail for not having a fishing license. But
not for everything. I agree with that.
Of course, yeah. So there's, I mean, it's a really tough situation because Jeff Sprague, I'm just going to bring his name up because it's bullshit of what he did, and it's controversial, and no one talked about it to the extent that needed to be talked about. He's, at Lake Fork snagging fish in an MLF event on camera and unhooking them on camera underneath the water so you don't see that they're snagged. And then, of course, his other deal with getting illegal information, he got, finally fined once that got found out publicly. Is snagging fish illegally the same as stuffing weights in fish, which they got jail time for? I mean, I think
it is.
It is. It really is. I mean, if I put a 1 pound lead ingot, which I pour weights, and I know how big that is. If I put one in one fish's mouth a day on the Elite Series next year and weighed 4 pounds extra and won a tournament by a pound and won $100,000, yeah, that's insane. That is,
we call that the patented Robbie Rose move.
Of course.
When that poor fish literally couldn't get up off the bottom of the live release tank, and it's just sitting there looking at the crowd like, please help me.
Yep.
That was insane. So
so to really
let me
bring it all back, like things need to become more strict. I think a lot of people in fishing realize that and want that for the professional side of things. And of course, you never want to, if you're on the lower level of tournament fishing or even a fan of the sport, you don't want to be invested in something that there is an unfair outcome. So yeah, I think things need to become more strict, whether that means jail time or not. I think the walleye cheaters definitely should have jail time. That was fucking terrible. That was ridiculous.
Egregious.
Oh my God,
is a good word for that. Egregious.
Unbelievable. Yeah, but that's not something that probably happens a lot. Yeah, I think there's more like people cold a dead fish or something like that happens sometimes, and people boat flip a fish that they sight fished and it came off as they boat flipped it, and there was no they didn't confirm that it was inside the mouth, that type of thing, and they kept it. Yeah. Like there's different things. It's just hard, but yeah, I think things need to become more strict for sure.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate y'all's time. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah. Well, before you go, CT, let me hop in on that one. So for me, what I would say, it's from what I've heard as far as depending on there's jail time or not, depends on the egregiousness of what the person did and how much money is involved, or whether it's considered a felony or not. So from my understanding is that if something is $1,000 or over and you're caught trying to cheat and basically steal that money from that organization, then that is a felony offense.
That totally depends on the state, though.
Right.
Every state's going to have their statutory limit, and that's the whole thing too. Like we were talking about, whether it's a law or a rule, and that's where the Interstate Wildlife Violator Compact comes into effect. And that whole thing had great intent, but it's fallen flat because a lot of states don't adhere to the same rules. So therefore, it's just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and try to pick the meat out.
And look, they don't call you CT, cerebral tackle, for nothing. Cerebral, you're quoting.
No kidding.
CT
I
knows
did my research old school. Remember, I used to ride for Bass Times, man. Y'all didn't remember that?
All
Back
right.
in the day.
All right. Shout out to CT. It looks like we have 2 more people in the back. We
Dude,
appreciate you.
that's a good question. You got a lot of good questions so far. I really appreciate those. I'll say one thing though. Every time you say egregious, I know you're a movie guy. All I can think about is Reese Bobby pried up against the door. He's like, "This is egregious. We were cellmates, Randy."
Oh no, not Randy. Come on, man. Oh, and real quick, guys, I do want to say Randy Blaukat is a friend of the show. So I see you guys are getting kind of spicy in the chat. So what I always like to say, guys, is attack the argument, not the person. Let's see if we can attack the argument, not the person. So, just kind of have some fun with it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's see. Who else do we have coming in here? We have some interesting questions. I wonder what this person is going to say. Shout out to, we have DP. What's going on, Darren Pearson? Yeah, can you turn your phone side and just check your audio? Let's see if we can hear. Okay, I think we can hear you now.
I'm trying to get this thing to. But anyway, I want to say thank you for letting me on the show.
All right.
And what's going on, MFers?
What up, DP?
What's going on, man? Listen, I've been watching you for a long time. And the thing is, I want to get into the facts of light scoping. Can you talk a little bit about that?
What do you want to know?
Does it have an impact on our fisheries? Which I did a little research myself, and I couldn't find that it did, and it didn't. So, what is your intake on that?
Yeah, so I mean, well, there's no facts or truths in fishing. I've always believed that, but
Right.
from what I've seen is, I don't think it's just forward-facing sonar, but I think forward-facing sonar has sped up the process. But I think fisheries more than ever the fish are getting more and more pressured and smarter. I think they're evolving. Whether it be the same population of fish or their offspring, they're always constantly evolving. And so they're getting more weary of different presentations. And so if you're an angler that doesn't have any sonar, that simply went out and as simple as throwing a minnow on a bobber, or as advanced as you threw a crankbait on the bank, or a topwater or whatever, you're going to see the ramifications of that, because I'm seeing really smart fish on forward-facing sonar that I'm having to do a lot of really dialed-in presentations to catch these fish. And so, yeah, it's affecting our fisheries, but it's not just forward-facing sonar. I mean, it's mapping more than anything. I think it's mapping, to be completely honest. Like, if you have contours of every spot on every lake across the country, or the majority of lakes that are over 500 acres, everyone's going to be able to look and see that juice spot. And all you have to do is use really your entire, baseline of all your fishing information that you've gathered over time in the water to be able to go catch them. It's super simple, right? But I mean, it's affecting fisheries 100%, but so is everything else. It's just a culmination. It's COVID with people being on the water, a lot more people on the water. It's side imaging, it's mapping, it's forward-facing sonar. It's all of it. Fishermen are becoming better and more dialed in, and the fish are becoming more and more pressured.
Yeah. I know some of the old school guys, man, they don't want to. I know if you don't get with the new technology, you get left behind. And back then they had it to themselves because they could find the stuff. But a lot of them say that they can't, you young guys can't catch fish. You don't get facing forward sonar. And I've been watching you for a long time. I know for a fact you can go out there and kick tail without the, forward facing sonar. But that's enough on that. The other thing I want to talk to you about is your new square builders coming out, the silent one. Can you talk about that?
The pressure series.
Yeah,
that's a cool series that I'm excited to be a part of. But it's actually, it's everything from a 4-foot diver to a 16-foot diver. We got like 5 different crankbaits there, and really the idea behind that is just kind of what we're talking about right here is the fish are becoming more and more pressured. And so we need baits, even when the idea was that, like, you know, cold water, you want super tight vibrating baits, silent baits, or something to make the fish react, which is true. And then the summer, when the fish are aggressive, they have a high metabolism, you want real wide wobbling baits. Also true. But when the fish are getting more and more pressure, we want something that's really, really tight wobbling, yet you want a power fishing bait. And that's what this series really goes into. The 4-foot version has no weight transfer system, and I don't know why, but it casts extremely well. So you have the benefits of like a super tight wobbling, really nice shoulder turn action that comes with like a flat-sided balsa bait, but it casts well. But the rest of the series comes with the weight transfer system. So you get something that's like you've never had it before, where you have a super tight wobbling deep diver that casts extremely well. It's something we haven't really had an opportunity to throw in the past, except maybe some of the DT series baits from Apollo have been somewhat that way, but it's even tighter than those. And so I'm excited for them, man.
So it's just as tighter than a Shad Rat?
No, it's not tighter than a Shad Rat, but a Shad Rat casts like a piece of bread. You know how that goes.
You're right. You're right about that.
I mean, I'm a Shad Rat. I've been a fan of it for a long time. I've cashed checks and won money on a 5 and a 7 size Shad Rat for a very long time. But man, that's an 1/8 and a 3/16 ounce bait. You pretty much are limited to a spinning rod on that.
Yeah.
So that's my go-to when it's like 40 degrees, 42 degrees and below water. You can't beat it. But I mean, this pressure series of baits is going to be great for everything else. Once that water warms up, I mean, I really think you catch them on that 4-foot diver size that's completely silent and super tight wobbling when it's in that 40 to 45 degree range. But those are going to be great the entire season for pressured fish.
I just got 2 more questions. One is, where did the term whole buzzard come from?
That's from my buddy Captain Ron up in Lake Fork, man. Captain Ron be coming up with all sorts of crazy names and sayings and stuff. And that's my guy right there. You got to follow Captain Ron on Instagram. I think he's got TikTok and stuff too. He comes off as a damn goofball, and he's one of the most entertaining people in our entire industry, without question. But he's also a hammer, and he's a Lake Fork guide, and he does electronics trips and dials in electronics. So yeah, Captain Ron came up with that. Just, you know how it is, whole buzzard, someone that sees where you're fishing, where you're catching, and hops up on that spot. You know what it's about.
The other question is, I'm gonna get just a touch of controversy. What is your opinion on knockoffs on lures? I know you had some with the 6th Sense, knockoffs. How can you prevent it? Or is there any kind of prevention from that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. It's kind of what I talked about a little bit in my corporate video lately that I didn't really go into depth on. And it's something that I had some just a strange video in the past about the 6th Sense and Guggen thing that we talked about that I wasn't really legally able to go into depth about. But the crazy thing is, no, you can't prevent knockoffs. You can't do shit. The law says intellectual property theft is a 10%, less than a 10% difference in the new product that comes out. And 10% is up for interpretation by a judge or jury. So like if someone knocks off anything from 6th Sense or any other company, you're going to spend 6 figures to go to court and get it in front of somebody to the point where you're going to try to win, obviously. But that's something we dealt with in the past. It's like all these baits get knocked off by brand X. It's up for interpretation by a jury of people that don't fish, or maybe they do fish and they just don't understand. Like, that's the crazy thing about it, that people understand, like, as a business owner with 6th Sense, like, are we going to spend $250,000 going after somebody that copied our product or our name, or are we going to dump that in and maybe lose, probably lose, or are we going to dump that into a new product and marketing a new product? I mean, what would you do if you, we're not a huge company. It's crazy. Like,
Right.
It sucks. It's bullshit, but that's the world we live in. I mean, if you don't have it's extremely difficult to get a patent. You can't just patent like a square bill because it's been done a million times. You can't patent anything that's not even remotely unique. Like, it's crazy to see like the chatterbait blade direct to the head got that Z-Man patent. That's probably the most, the largest patent in the industry that people know of and are aware of. So it's crazy they got that, and they were able to really capitalize on that and go after people that were infringing on that. But that's a patent. This is intellectual property you're talking about knocking off. And even something like the Meg Draft and the Bass Mafia knockoff, they were. It's not something that you could even go after, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, just like the new Berkeley, what is it? Not the Chashat, but the new Berkeley Nessie.
Yeah,
they just knocked off a company from a real small company from Japan. So
yep,
allegedly. Listen, allegedly.
Money Bass says they knocked him off. Everything comes back to him.
Me and Money Bass,
you're right, man.
We're in the same fishing club. We're in the same fishing club. Me and Money Bass.
See,
but anyway,
listen, real quick. I'm waiting for DP to ask you how can he catch more fish on Lanier, because I had to spank him out there in the Battle of the Anglers.
Yeah, he beat me on his on show video, but I beat him out there before on Lanier, during the rod builders term. I had to spank him too, but we go back and forth. Back and forth, but
real quick before you
go
off,
ahead.
DP. So I want to bring up hold on just real quick. All right, so for somebody that wants to get into throwing swim baits, I'm on the 6 Sense website. And actually, before I do this, let me just bring you back up. So what is your affiliation with 6 Sense? Do you own it, or you partners with it, or how did that come about? Let's just get.
I'm an owner of 6 Sense. It's been just a crazy story of getting involved with 6 Sense, if you want to hear any of that. But
okay, well, actually, let me bring this up real quick, and then once I drop DP down, because I just want him to be on here when I pull this up. Let me bring this back up. Where'd it go? Hold on just a second, guys. Did I get it right? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, you got it, man.
All right, so for somebody that wants to get into swim baits, because that's what a lot of people see you out there throwing, always want to get out there, but it's not quite as easy as it seems. So for somebody that wants to get into it, I'm clicking on the swim baits link. What swim bait would you say is something that would be good for somebody to start off with?
Well, before you go crazy with it at all, I think that it's important to learn, like I said, some more fundamentals. And so I think like throwing a swim jig or a 5-inch swim bait before you ever try to dive into throwing a line through or a glide bait is huge. I think if you're really getting started, I think a jerk bait and the way that fish react to a jerk bait is very similar to a glide bait. So like if I'm catching them on a jerk bait, I'll pull out the glide bait and start throwing that at some of these suspended fish. If I'm catching them on a glide bait, I know that if they won't react to that, I'll probably pick up a jerk bait and throw that. But then like we start talking about before you throw a line through, before you throw a big soft plastic bait, a swim jig, or even just a 1/2 ounce or a 3/8 ounce jig head with a 5-inch divine swim bait, or a whale. A whale's a great one too, man. That bait's insanely good. That's a great way to get started before you on live scope or anything else, before you start jumping into those big baits. And so I know that like if they'll start eating like a swim jig on a grass edge, or if I'm offshore and they'll eat that big whale or like a 4.5-inch whale on a jig head, on a ledge, a hump, a point, a rock pile, shell bed, that's what I'm like, okay, well, I got those fish to bite. I'm picking up the 6.5-inch hangover, a line through swim bait. I'm going to get the biggest one in the damn school to eat it. So there's just different baits you can really relate in your head once you start using them to those bigger baits to get that bigger bite.
Wow. Guys,
Yeah.
if you're watching this
Thank
live
you so
stream,
much.
think real quick,
Thank
DP. Just think about what Milliken just explained to you guys. I asked him about the swim baits, but that's what I was talking about earlier, those small details that people don't even think about. You don't just run out there and buy that first. You kind of have to work your way up to being that big dog in the swim bait game. Wow, big shout out. Really appreciate that info, Mr. Ben Milikin. All right.
Just wanted to say I'm an MFer for life, and thank you so much. And I learned about swim baits from watching all your shows. I know there's a lot of your techniques that you didn't want to give out, and you kept asking coleslaw, should I do this? Should I show these guys? But so I learned a lot from you, and I've been putting them in effect. Matter of fact, I had sent Ryan my brother was down here from Ohio. That's where I'm from, and I had caught a 5-pounder from a swim bait, a 6-cent swim bait, matter of fact. And but anyway, just wanted to say thank you for answering some of my questions. Thank you, Ryan, for on the Money Bass Show. And I'm your Huckleberry. Just let me know now.
Oh, you want some revenge? You want some revenge?
Yeah, I'm always want some revenge.
All right,
you know?
I might have to set up the next On the Water Live this weekend. We'll see. We shall.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
All right, appreciate you. All right, yeah. So we're getting some real good info, guys, and we are rolling. Really, really appreciate it. Got to give another hand clap for Ben Milikin coming in, giving us the info of how to, kind of work our way up to being one of those big dogs on the stream. All right, so we lost Mr. Ben Milikin for a second, but I guess he'll come back up. But in the meantime and in between time, let me use this to give some shout outs, guys. Some big shout outs to people that are supporting the show. Want to give a big shout out to Edward Ragsdale Fishing. Make sure you guys go and check out his channel. He hit the Money Bass live stream with the $9.99 super chat. And what I say each week, guys, is whoever gives the largest super chat, super sticker during the live stream is the sponsor of the live stream, because this channel is supported by you guys, the viewers, the subscribers, and you guys that just kind of stop by every once in a while to say, hey, what is Money Bass talking about this week? So really, really appreciate that. Make sure you go and check out Edward Ragsdale Fishing. He hit us with the $19.99 super chat. And let's see, shout out to Joe Winkler. Really, really appreciate it. He came in with a $25 super chat. And let's see, who else do we have coming in? DP. You guys just saw him live and in person. He was in here up on the screen, hit us with the $2 super chat. Big shout out to you. And you guys saw Big Jim Fishing just a little earlier.
Yes, sir.
He came in here, asked a question or two. Big shout out to you. And wait a minute. Edward Ragsdale Fishing was like, hey, man, I'm really finding some value in this content. He came back again with the $49.99 super chat. So want to give a big shout out to Edward Ragsdale Fishing, working our way up to the big dog. Then we had Bass Hunter. He's met me on a few times out there on the lake. He spanked me one time, and I had to come back and get him back. Shout out to Bass Hunter with the $19.99 super chat. And got to give a big shout out to Aquatic Biologists. Really appreciate that. It does not go unnoticed. Any support that you guys give to the channel, it is very, very much appreciated. And have to give another hand clap for a new member of the channel. Shout out to Chappie. And of course, you guys know who is the sponsor of tonight's show. Oh, yeah. It's the lead attorney. The lead attorney came in. Let's see. Who else do we have? Let's see. What is going on? There we go. Got Ben Milikin back on the scene. All right.
I'm back. Sorry. My bad.
All right. You're good. You're good.
Got a little FaceTime call from the family. They're out of town right now.
Hey, there we go. It happens. Hey, family first, man. We got to make sure we take care of them. All right. So let's see. I think this might be interesting when I see somebody backstage. Let's go ahead and get another question in. What do we have? Who is this? We have Cajun Rob. What's going on, Cajun Rob? Are you able to turn your phone the landscape way? Can you do it that way? Let's see. There you go. There you go. What is going on? Is your audio up? Okay, we can't hear you. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me unmute you. I got you.
Okay.
All right, there you go. We got you. So what is going on, Cajun Rob?
Hey, how's it going, Money? How's it going, Ben?
What's up, Cajun Rob?
Hey, man, I enjoyed your podcast on the fishing business, man. That was I learned a lot on that, man. That was good stuff.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yep.
I would say for me, that is one of the top 3. The number one video that I like of his is that one when the thumbnail is actually him giving the middle finger to the building or the job. I don't know if he was giving the middle finger to, but he quit his job, guys. Anybody that is thinking about getting into the fishing industry, doing YouTube or anything, you have to go back and watch that video. I don't know the name of it, but just search YouTube. Just type Ben Milikin quits job or Ben Milikin quits, and you'll see a thumbnail with a middle finger up in it. And that's Ben Milikin quitting his job and starting this whole journey that you guys see now. So that one and this corporate, that one was kind of epic. That was kind of epic, guys. But what is going on, Cajun Rob? What do you have?
Going good. Hey, Ben, quick question. I'm a co-angler on the Toyotas and BFLs, and when I get behind a live scope guy, I mean, I've had some great guys. They've showed me a lot on the live scope, but when I'm a co-angler behind a live scoper, I struggle, man. Should I throw the same as the boater that's live scoping? I mean, I'm in deep lakes in Kentucky, Dale Hollow and whatnot, and I just struggle, man. I throw everything I got, and I just struggle.
And let me just add this in here. So I think that is a great question for one of the top dogs out here in the fishing industry and on the YouTube scene, because that's what he does. That's what he's good at. So maybe you have seen somebody out there is being successful doing it as a co-angler. So to me, that is a skill set that you want to be able to add to your repertoire, because you never know who you're going to end up on the boat with. So I think that's a very, very good question. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so that could be a lot of different things that you should focus on, but seasonally and where the boater is catching them is a huge thing with that. So like if your boater is specifically, like right now, if you're on Dale Hollow, or really a lot of places in the country, highland reservoirs like Dale Hollow, I guess it's a river system, but it kind of fishes like a highland. They're going to be fishing offshore on bait balls, stuff like that with Demiki rig, just whatever, jig head minnow. That's really tough as a non-boater. But I think what you can really do is a couple things. If they're fishing, like it's the worst case scenario as a non-boater right now in the winter, fishing for those super deep, isolated suspended fish. You can do two things. You can try to focus it on or ask your boater what depth they're catching them at, whether that be 10 feet below the surface or 40 feet below the surface. And you can pick up like a little swim bait, something like a quarter, half ounce jig head, and start chucking it around and counting it down to whatever depth that those people are your boaters catching them on. That's one tactic. Another one that's kind of sneaky is if your boater gets a fish on, reel your bait in and drop it like 10 feet below the surface and hold it there for a second until your boater gets a fish in, because a lot of those times that your boater's going to pull in, 1 or 30 fish with that one fish. And you obviously don't want to be the guy that's like your boater gets the fish in, he's dicking around putting in the live well, and you're firing up ahead of the boat to wherever you just caught him from. You can't do that. But that's a scenario that's great. Another thing that a guy did with me this year at the Ozarks in September, I was just talking to Zark about it, that was so smart, is finding a bait that's just such a fishy bait on the bottom that catches fish like crazy and soaking that. If you're in a scenario where you're less than 30 feet deep, you can't do it if it's 100 feet deep or 200 feet deep or something like that, and you're fishing for suspended fish. But we were fishing like 15 feet deep, and I was scoping fish with a drop shot, throwing in brush piles, stuff like that. And he was simply taking a watermelon seed brush hog on a Carolina rig and casting it out and dragging it around. That's such a high percentage bait, and I can't tell you enough how efficient it is to just drag something that gets a shitload of bites like that around on the bottom. He was catching more fish than I was because I was trying to throw an individual fish, and there was just fish chasing bait, and they're blasting around chasing bait, on a 15-foot deep big flat. Well, you're just as easily going to catch some on a bait that's not a shad imitator, dragging it on the bottom as you are, throwing a drop shot. It's not really a shad imitator, but any type of Demiki rig drop shot bait like that, as long as it's shallow enough that the bass can be on the bottom, that's such a efficient way to really catch them. And I think too many co-anglers get caught up in like, I need to be throwing a 4.5-inch Kitech. I need to be throwing a spinner bait. If your boater's throwing a Damiki rig or throwing for suspended fish, that's not the deal at all. Don't do that. Don't throw a hollow belly. Don't do any of that crap. Like, you're not going to catch anything. Drag something that you have the most confidence in, that's supernatural, that gets bites like crazy all across the country, and you will catch fish, especially if you get in somewhere where they're on the bottom. If they're still on the bottom, they're still around the bottom. That's the deal.
Good deal, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, it can be tough at times, but I've had some good guys and showed me stuff, and I've had some pretty good boaters, so I've been lucky and fortunate.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that real quick is from my co-angling experience, what I would do is on my drop shot, I would have maybe like a 30-foot leader. I would actually measure it out. So whenever I'm on the boat, I would drop that straight down and then just see how long it takes for it to hit the bottom. And a lot of times the leader would stop, and that braid that I would have coming next would be right there, and it would kind of give me a gauge. I'm like, okay, I'm in 30 feet of water. So that could kind of dictate what type of bait that I threw. Also, if I wanted to throw a Carolina rig with a bigger weight on it or something like that. So yeah, that's one thing that I would do. I would keep that drop shot ready to roll to actually fish with, and you can use it to measure the water depth that you're in.
Good deal, man. Good advice, man. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Really, really appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Cajun Rob. We had Cajun Rob checking in. Really appreciate you, Cajun Rob. All right, man. So we are rolling. Let's see. Okay. Looks like we don't have any more takers. Nobody else is backstage. Man, this has been a good one. Let's see. I had another question for you. Hold on. Let me see. Where did I put it at? So as far as now with you fishing on the pro side of things, do you find more enjoyment with the YouTube from doing the YouTube or doing the tournament side of things? And real quick, I'm asking that because for me, I'm starting to see that I'm finding more enjoyment of doing the YouTube and interacting, like how you see the chat going. I'm always interacting with the chat. So even if I'm out just fishing by myself, I can have, the guys in the chat and they're rooting for me, or they're dogging me out saying, hey, a funeral is more exciting than this non-fishing day that you're showing us right now. So, that side of things with the YouTube thing, so that was just something that I was thinking. So what do you think from your experience being on both sides?
Yeah, it goes both ways for sure. I'm happy that I enjoy both a lot. I really enjoy, going out and having fun, not having a lot of pressure on me, just trying to catch giant fish or whatever, or dinner. And I've enjoyed the tournament side of things a ton. So, I mean, it's nice to have both. And really, I didn't have that balance a year ago when I decided to be opens. Like, I could fish local tournaments, and I just kind of felt like the local scene was spinning my wheels quite a bit, where it's just like, well, if I want to go fish at Conroe by here, those guys that fish Conroe, there's 3 tournaments a week there, and they're hammers. That's all they fish is that lake. So It's going to take a crazy amount of time to learn that place and do well, or make a video even, because it's tough fishery. And same with the little tiny, 10 boat jackpot style, big bass tournaments. It's like, well, I'm fishing a weeknight tournament for 1 fish. It's hard to make a video from that. So I'm just like spinning my wheels, trying to figure out what's right for me. And so, I mean, luckily I do get enjoyment for both. And now that I have that balance, it's nice.
Right. Yeah. Because for me, it was like I got to the point where I just wanted to be back home at the end of the day. I can go out if I'm, out there recording a video or doing whatever. I could go hit the lake for like 4 or 5 hours or something, come back home, and easy peasy. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yep. Man. All right. So anything else on your mind? I mean, we've been rolling. We've had a good time tonight. Got a few questions in. Really, really appreciate you for coming in on the live stream.
Heck yeah, man. I've had a good time. I don't have anything on my mind really, but I appreciate you having me on, and it's been nice talking to people too, and just kind of getting some good questions to relate to the viewers, because it's so often, you do some streams or a podcast or something, or I'm constantly making a video talking to myself in the camera. I don't actually get to talk to a human being and see how they're kind of interacting or how they're actually talking or feeling about something. So thank you to everyone that's chipped in and given their opinion and questions.
Gotcha. Okay. And I have one more. He just cammed up. Let me go ahead and bring up. And I know who this is, but look at the name that he has. Who is that?
First name Barking.
Let's see. Hold on just a second. It is. Let me drop him back down and bring him back up. I don't think it came up. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There we go. What is going on in here to cause problems? What do you got for the show? This is
How
Joseph
y'all
from the
doing,
live.
man?
How you doing? Doing all right. So
What's good, bud?
how you
I
doing the
just
show?
noticed it when I seen my camera come up.
Uh-oh, the connection isn't
Man, I
coming
just
through too
realized
well.
I happen to be wearing my Cliff knife.
Uh-oh. Well, I may have to drop you down and bring you back up because you're locking up on us. All right, let me drop you back down. Okay, let me see. I think okay, there you go. I think you're back in now. Can you hear us okay, Joseph? Uh-oh, there we go. Yeah, I think he's in a bad location. But yeah, so I mean, so yeah, we've covered a lot of topics. I had some, some great questions and everything. So, what are you looking forward to fishing next year? What is the, what's on your list?
As far as lakes or techniques,
Right.
what do you think? Yeah.
Yeah. So like, so of course you're going to be, fishing your tournaments, and then outside of that, like any lakes on your mind where you're going to go out there and try to catch actually, what is the biggest fish that you've caught so far? What is your PB?
14.7 is my biggest.
14.7. All right. So
Yeah.
you're out there hunting, trying to beat that, huh?
So, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I know when it can and can't happen. That's for sure. In most places it can't happen, obviously. So,
Right. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'm putting a lot into the tournament side of things this next year, and the schedule is incredible. I'm so excited for it. We started the season at Toledo Bend where I won last year, so that's amazing. Different time of the year, but it's going to be a fun one. And we stay in Texas at Lake Fork, the most famous fishery probably in the country for big bass.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah, man. Then we get to go to Murray in South Carolina. It's one of the hottest lakes in the country. Champlain's amazing. I mean, we got a great schedule, so I'm excited for that, and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps and have some fun. Of course, the Bassmaster Classic at Grand Lake in Oklahoma in March is gonna be unbelievable. Like, man, there's so much good going on. I'm excited for.
Gotcha. All right, let's see if he comes up this time. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Are you ready? Yeah, I don't think his connection is gonna work. Let me just drop him down and bring him back one more time. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. He may have to wait till the next time. We'll see. Let me try it one more time. Nope, he's gone. Yeah, so his connection isn't going to work. But yeah, so I really, really appreciate your time. We've been rolling for 2 hours.
Badass, man.
Does it seem like we've been on here for 2 hours?
No, it's been quick.
They always make fun of me. They're like, man, he gets started at 3 hours in. And I'm like, come on, guys. Because I hopped on here the other day. I was like, hey, I'm just stopping in real quick. Going to be on for 30 minutes, guys. And I got some stuff to do, and I was on for like an hour and a half, and they were like,
I know how that goes.
No, actually, it was like an hour and 50 something minutes. I was like, I'm not gonna go 2 hours when I said 30 minutes. Yeah. All right. So yeah, really, really appreciate your time and for you coming on the show. You are definitely welcome back anytime. You want to come back, talk about anything, and I'll be reaching out to you about. I mean, if you want to get into this live stream game, we can talk about it. We might be able to get some things set up to get you out there rolling. All right. So Ben Milikin, guys, really, really appreciate you coming on to the show. And on your way out, do you have any words of advice or anything that's on your mind that you want to, put out there for the peoples? What would be your parting words?
No, man, I don't have anything crazy. I'm just trying to, really focus, stay positive, and really with all the crazy shit that's gone on this off season, all these controversial issues and topics, I think we all need to just sit back and think about something I said earlier, that fishing is exactly what you want to make it. And if you want to make it something else, then you can change and make it that too. There is no set rules in what fishing should be or what you grew up doing and how you should fish. You can do whatever the hell you want with it, and don't ever let anybody else try to tell you that there's a set way that you should go about your business with it, whether you want to just bank fish from a tiny spillway, or you want to try to be a professional fisherman, or anything in between. You do you, and it's always important that we just have fun with this, man.
All right, guys. All right, so Great words of advice, words of wisdom from the man himself, Ben Milikin, guys. And want to give a quick shout out to the money team and all of the new members. I see some new guys checking in. All right, so I'll go ahead and let you go. And, you know, like I said, we'll be in touch. Definitely glad to have you on the show, and you're always welcome back.
Heck yeah, dude. I appreciate it. Let's do it again.
All right, guys. Ben Milikin. All right, there we go, guys. So what do you think? What are your thoughts?